And another glorious talk about Blind Guardian. This time it's the Forgotten Tales. I don't forget that. Welcome Mark, welcome Ronnie, welcome Markus, welcome Andre, and in perfect harmony, Tolman and Frederik. That might cause trouble later on. Why are you here?
You invited me?
Okay.
Makes sense. So yeah, Forgotten Tales. It's a compilation album and it has a quite funny story to it, how it became that album.
Yeah, it is a long story. I cut it short. It is a favor of us to our record company. That back then was Virgin, and they believed in Mr. Sandman, which was one of the cover versions we did for the Imaginations album, but then decided the album does not need any cover versions, and especially not Mr. Sandman, because that would have ruined the whole atmosphere of the album. So we took Mr. Sandman aside, played it to the record company, and they loved it. We considered it to be a B song for a singer, but they said that might be your breakthrough in a big way. But if it's not on Imaginations, we need an album with it. We did Imaginations in the beginning of 1995, went on tour, and agreed on doing another album and didn't have a lot of time and obviously not a lot of ideas what to do. So we were thinking about a kind of different best of album, coming up with ideas for different cover versions. We're looking for cover versions we did in the past, Barbara Ann obviously, and some of the other stuff we did. And we just had a very small time frame in the end of 1995 and the beginning of 1996. And we decided that would be the right moment for such an album. We later on called that The Forgotten Tales. When we did it, and with the support of the record company, it was obvious that we needed a video to make Mr. Sandman a major hit. We also went into a video shooting during these 2 months. So that is a world record for Blind Guardian. The way we did The Forgotten Tales is quite unusual.
True.
Yeah. But there might be something to add.
Yes. Before we did Forgotten Tales, there was always the idea to do some acoustic songs or maybe do an acoustic album one day. So I think we mixed it up and said, hey, why don't we play some of our songs in acoustic version with acoustic guitars and try to rearrange them a little bit, which fits better to acoustic guitars, and so we came up with Bright Eyes acoustic and stuff like this, which was quite interesting.
We even played it live a couple of times. We were still on tour in '96, and I remember that we added some little acoustic blocks, playing 2-3 acoustic songs in the middle of the set, which was something that we have never done before. And never done afterwards.
And later on, I adapted, I think, the acoustic solo for the heavy version because I liked it better than the real solo.
So yeah, it's acoustic and cover versions mainly on the album, and there are some covers on the album which are near to the original, and some have a Blind Guardian twist. So what do you like more? Which way? Just playing along the original, or give it an original Blind Guardian twist?
Depends on the song, I would say. If you take an old song like something from the Beach Boys, of course it needs a twist, and of course you will do something funny with it. But if you have a Dido song or something, how can you put a twist there? It should be serious.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, but I even like some old songs more on this album, from the arrangement at least, more than on the original album version. For example, Lord of the Rings I like a lot. The new part in it, and another outro, no? You sing there on the end, no?
There are some parts, yeah, exactly. There is a big mid-section which is completely different.
Yeah.
This is also a fan favorite. When we play that live nowadays, the people always turn into the I Keep the Ring part, which originally has not been there. So that has been rearranged for this particular version, and it gives something special to the song. That is right. Yeah, absolutely.
I liked it a lot.
There are great moments on there, and I believe that could have become a really impressive album if we had a little more time. Basically, we had to do some songs just as they were on the album, like A Past and Future Secret or Barbara Ann, and if they would have gotten a relift from us, then I believe that would have been a very impressive album. And the idea of the album still lives on. This is one of the reasons why you are here. On the reissue version, there will be songs which have not been featured on the album so far, like All the King's Horses, which is one of our original composings in the early period when you have entered the band. And there are also some other impressive cover versions which are featured on this new reissue, like You're the Voice, a John Farnham cover we did. And you can see that we're living music and we're also living these cover versions. And to me, it's really, as Andre said, a question: what does a song demand, and how can we make it our own? Like, for instance, The Wizard does not have a lot of differences in comparison to what Uriah Heep originally did, and it's one of our greatest cover versions, if you ask me. But the same can be said about some of the more weird cover versions we did, like Inagada Davida, for example, which is a quite fresh one. This is a very disturbing song in general because it's so, I don't know, it's just a weird song. You can really feel it's a 70s song, and it has that 70s attitude, and we switch it into something even more psychedelic, but with a very threatening approach, I feel, which the song in the original version doesn't have. So it really depends on the song and how we relate to it ourselves.
Mm. So talking about these new B-sides, Frederik, do you have a favorite, or did you have a song which you had problems with recording?
I definitely I would pick maybe Inagada La Vida, because it was my first cover version to play. And since I was, as Hans just mentioned, pretty new in the band, and I, as a fan, enjoyed Forgotten Tales a lot, and I liked also the band for doing the cover versions and coming up with those with this addition for the sound, and so it was something really special to play that song. And yeah, actually there is some nice drum fills in this one, so was one of the also maybe toughest ones to record, like for the cover versions.
Mm.
You mentioned earlier that Mr. Sandman started to be recorded during the Imaginations session. You did the System Failings that ended up as a bonus track on Imaginations. Mr. Sandman was apparently an idea you already had for the Twilight album.
Was it?
Yeah. And you also had considered Don't Stop by Queen during that period.
Yeah,
of
Don't
time.
Stop Me Now, we
right,
considered
yes.
a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how many of the songs that ended up at Forgotten Tales were old ideas, or did you, when you decided to do the albums, came up with the ideas for the cover song in that moment? Or
I remember Mike Oldfield was fresh.
Yeah.
We decided that when we
To
talked
France.
about what we could do.
Yeah.
To France was for sure a new one.
What else was on there?
I'm just thinking about that.
Surfing USA.
Surfing USA, pretty sure was a spontaneous decision as well, I would guess, because we did it in these 2 months which I mentioned, and we always liked Barbara Ann, what we did with the song, but we wanted just to bring in the same spirit, so that was a very natural decision, since Barbara Ann was a smashing success, even for metal fans. We couldn't go wrong with Beach Boys, so that was something we for sure decided just on spot. And I think, like, if we're talking about the individual songwriting of Blind Guardian, it was also obvious to go for a song like Black Chamber, because there were some additional ideas, but the way they were worked out went into a certain different direction. So there was a very creative period we found for doing this album.
Wasn't there a Theatre of Pain version where we thought we could make it better with a bigger orchestra and stuff?
Yeah,
like that?
because computers and keyboards became better back
Yeah.
then, and we have had many ideas to make that the first real soundtrack, coming from Blind Guardian. And when Matthias then started working on it, we were completely blown away, because it went exactly the direction we wanted it. So all this stuff turned out, in a lot of cases, better than the original ones. And this makes it a special album.
As Marcus mentioned, To France, that was the first song that in its original form is sang by Maggie Riley. How was it for you to approach a song that is originally by a female vocalist?
More difficult than expected, and we had to work around it, and I did not consider that to be a problem before, because I'm quite good in female old women falsetto stuff, but that would not have captured the whole song. So we just found out when I started the performance, which was more or less the last day of the production in general, because as said, it was on a very tight time schedule. And then we came up with, the whatever I did there with the vocal harmonies to make it richer. And this for sure has been one of Pete Zilk's most important moments in Blind Guardian. He produced the songs which we did anew during that period, and his input was very valuable.
So the album has a strange history, but has found some fans over the years. So could you imagine doing a second part of Forgotten Tales at one point?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a waste with regard to that we used the cover versions we did with you for this reissue. But the songs are simply too good not to have them featured on any of the albums, and therefore it makes a great value for this new edition. We have spoken about it a couple of times, and we have plenty of ideas. It is a question of time when to do that, because we're running late with the orchestral album. Therefore, we're also running late with the next regular Blind Guardian album. And this all has to be accomplished first before we really can consider doing some additional stuff like the Forgotten Tales 2. But I could imagine that this would be a very impressive second attempt and would enjoy a lot of people.
And it would be lots of fun, because it's
Yeah.
it's a different kind of work.
Yeah.
You cannot do always the same things, and it's great for us to do something different and work on something different.
Yeah, and it's on spot. Like all the stuff we're doing is, like individual work. You prepare yourself at home, you do the arrangements yourself at home, and by doing an album like this, there would be a far more concentrated period in the studio where everyone would be involved, because it's more of a natural process. So my expectation for this second one would be very high.
Frederik, you also mentioned that the album was inspirational for you. Can you explain a little bit more?
It's not in details. It was inspirational for, or just, I would say, the band status rose in my eyes, because I liked always bands that came up with more than only one sound, and I found it very cool that a band that was known for speed metal stuff in the older days turned into more orchestral stuff for the Imaginations album, and then all of a sudden came up with this acoustic versions of their own songs, and I really loved that new sound, and as an addition, and also the path that was kind of shown with what is it, the song again? Past and Future Secret. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. That's, yeah. I love that sound, and like this totally different sound from the normal metal, and yeah, that's the whole band image rose in my opinion.
Well, was those acoustic medieval things inspirational for you in your old band prior to that you joined Blind Guardian?
Actually, it's a good question. It was, yeah, maybe a little bit also that album, but it's maybe more Somewhere Far Beyond, especially the song Somewhere Far Beyond, because of the bagpipes. And for my former medieval band, I actually learned how to play the bagpipes because the inspiration came from Somewhere Far Beyond. So I found that very cool to also bring back the bagpipes then finally to Blind Guardian sooner or later.
So you did?
Yeah.
And, a twist in the myth, right?
Yeah.
Turn the page and
Yeah, yeah.
carry the blessed
Carried
home.
Blessed Home, and there was even on Curse My Name.
On Curse My Name, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it twist? Was it Turn the Page also, or was it just Carry the Blessed Home? I think there were two songs. And he,
Yeah, so long ago, yeah.
yeah.
Don't
So
ask me
Tolman-
again.
You've given the answer, perfect.
So Tolman, when the band started to approach these acoustic versions, did you try to fit your way into with the drums, or did you want to stay out of it?
Well, I always try to do something.
Something a lot.
I checked something a lot. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was always a little bit experimental with my percussions. I think I had my own style anyhow to play the percussions because I never learned to play them. So I just heard what I wanted to have in the songs, and then in any way I tried. Oh, there are some bongos, and there are some congas, and there are some timpanis, and there are cowbell. You know, every kind of instrument that I could find, I tried to bring in, and then most times later, at least on A Night at the Opera, then Charlie especially cut me down. So, no, not percussion again.
Yeah, but there was not a lot of discussion, you know, whatever any member came up with was just fine, especially on this album. This is also exceptional, you know, there was not a lot of discussion. We simply accepted the organic development, and this makes the song so special for us.
Yeah. You mentioned from the beginning that you filmed your then second music video, Mr. Sandman. So now there are two very important questions here at the end. The first one is that there is a rumor running around that one of you suffers slightly from cobraphobia, which means being afraid of clowns. Is that true?
Should be
Well,
you.
Do I like clowns? No. Do I think they're overrated? Yes. Am I afraid? Apart from Pennywise and apart from the fact that I'm a great Stephen King fan, no, I'm not. I simply did not like the video idea. I mean, we were really, I won't say forced with money, but we were convinced, you know, to find that video attractive, because we were told we would get heavy rotation, which was not the case, and we were told that this is the best video company you could get back in the days, which is a fact. It was the best company, and they did a good video, but the story was simply not suitable. Yeah, of course, I'm a Stephen King fan, but Clowns and Andrew Sisters, that never worked for me. And we, you know, it was a fashion, like Freddie Mercury did the cleaning woman thing, and there was a band called the Bates who were like, and that was a Virgin band, they were dressed in women clothing, so it was kind of trendy to do that, and then, you know, by the fun, you know, men wearing women clothing, get that into heavy rotation.
Yeah, but we had bad luck. There was that.
It didn't work.
Yeah, but the story behind this was that there was in that week that the video was released, a young boy was captured. And it was a drama in Germany, and we had this scene in the video when the bad clown, you,
The one who is afraid of
was
clowns.
shaking a young kid. So there was not a good thing to show in a moment like this, and so they never played the video.
But they
during-
did at night.
At night.
Yeah, but it never went in a rotation because of this, and it was just bad luck, I think. Things like this can happen when you do the wrong thing in the wrong time.
The video turned out better than
Hans is
expected.
afraid of vampires.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah.
And of flies.
Especially Klaus Kinski.
But I'm getting along with flies nowadays because
Since when?
since I found out what they are supposed to do.
Did you watch The Fly now again?
No. I won't do that. I just have sympathies for them now.
Okay.
Okay, that was the first important question. And the second one, as you mentioned, you're not only featured as clowns in the video, so we're wondering who has the best chance to have an alternative career as drag queen?
No.
Yeah. Torben.
I still have a video scene of him. He was dressed up, and there was a little break, and he did a smoking break, and he was sitting like this. And we came there, and he saw us. Oh, oops. So yeah, it's.
Were there any cover versions, like cover songs that you tried to record during Forgotten Tales that never happened because it didn't felt right?
Don't stop me now.
Before that, there was a kiss.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Watching you.
But I refused to sing that.
We refuse to let you sing.
Maybe that is the case. I cannot recall.
Hansi's not the Paul Stanley guy.
But that
That's a
is
Gene. That's a Gene song. Which makes it worse. He's not a Gene guy either.
Maybe you could be a Peter Criss one day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.